We're live.
Ladies and gentlemen, guess who's back? What's up?
Guess what, guys?
Oh, no.
Oh, god damn it.
I got to fix that real quick.
Oh, my good. Okay, folks, welcome back.
Today's a very special day.
It is. What day is it, Austin?
It is our 1 year anniversary.
Holy hell.
Holy hell.
Holy
Can you
heck.
guys fucking
Holy
believe
heck.
it? Doing this shit for a year.
He says with a big smile, holy heck.
Oh, heck.
Yeah, this is episode 52.
52.
Yep, 52. That means it is our 1 year episode. I don't remember if this is on the exact 1 year or not, but it was sometime in April.
Mm-hmm.
So, whew.
Just hit 100 followers. Got a sub team going. Got some ultra
We are at
fanboys
104
consistently
followers.
chat.
Shout out every 104 of you.
Yep.
That includes myself. Congrats.
I think I'm part of the 104.
Hey,
Oh yeah.
Good
Let's
job.
go, Vic. Let's go.
yeah,
Let's
folks. Welcome back. This is
God
the Producers Lounge. This is our show, our podcast. We like to hang out with friends of ours, sometimes alone, and talk about music production. No, like us three alone. Don't get any wild ideas. This guy.
Hang out with our
What do you
friends.
think? We're having sex?
Alone?
Because we are. But we're also talking about music production that whole time.
It just sounded funny.
You know? Like, where do you like your EQ? You know?
Like it in the butt.
Hey! So, yeah, there you go, folks. That, in a nutshell, is our show. That congruent of sentences that we just had.
Yes, sir.
Big round of applause.
Big round.
That was kind of a little round, but that's fine. How are you guys? How's it going?
Doing good,
Oh,
Caleb.
good.
Doing great.
Great.
It's a beautiful Tuesday.
It is a wonderful Tuesday here in
officially
Greendale,
spring.
Colorado.
Oh, yeah. Still in Greendale. Forgot about that.
Yep. We did change the background.
Forgot about it.
Forgot
But
where
this
I
is-
lived for a sec.
This is new construction. This isn't like a new area. So this is the same desk,
Yeah.
a little modified, but same desk, same place, same folks, same show.
More knowledge, more hype, more bass.
Move through
That's not the one I
people through
meant to play.
hype, not sound. Black box. Moving people through sound. Weirdos.
I always thought that was kind of weird because they always play the hypiest shit there.
Oh,
Calling you out, Black Box.
Speaking of hypey sounds.
Yeah, take that, black box.
Fucking piece. Speaking of hype sounds, we have Northeast Heights with us today.
Oh, wow.
What's up, y'all?
We do.
He was our first guest on the pod, and he is our last guest. That's right, folks. This is the end.
Over.
It was a year project for college, and we finished it because we're all 23.
Yep.
And yeah, we're done. Yeah, there's a little bit of boo in there. I know.
We're all going to
I
go be
know.
accountants, basically. We're giving up music. We're giving up art. Giving up creativity and any sort of...
What's up? Aquat.
Oh,
We're-
he's here.
We're going to become full-time Overwatch 2 streamers.
Yeah.
Yep.
Not a
The
bad,
occasional
soon.
Minecraft play. I'll get them into it at some point. Make
not
it
a bad
happen.
move.
Yeah, hey.
Yeah.
Probably pays better.
We got big tits, so it's going to be real easy to get people in stream with us, you know. With our big all hunking titties.
It's easy when you have cannons.
That's right. It's pretty easy. I mean, they used to say it was pretty easy when you were a girl, but now you don't necessarily have to be a girl to have cans,
Yeah,
you know?
true.
So
Still, power boobs are rare.
power boobs
Power
are
boobs.
rare. We have spoken
Power
of this.
boobs are rare.
Power
Yeah.
boobs. Remember that, folks. Lest you forget, power boobs are rare. Okay? Accurate, welcome to the stream. Good to see you, buddy.
Welcome, buddy.
What's up?
Okay, should we talk about production
For
tips?
once.
Maybe. Maybe. I've been using a shitload of C-2, even though
Okay.
I already use it anyways. But you talking about the opto setting the other day, I was like, I need to use that more.
See,
and now it's basically the only compressor I have on anything.
What's the opto setting? Just that little selection thing in the center where you can choose
So
between.
it's, so it's optical. It's like a very
It's
it's a looser attack release kind of vibe.
Right.
Like the master really cuts quick and releases quick.
Yeah.
This thing will have like a little bit more of like a
Right.
wave
Or
slope or
I think it's the extremes of that. Like I think it can go slightly tighter than the master
Oh,
can.
really?
Yeah. On release, not on attack. I think it could go faster on a release. So that's how you can get that super pumpiness with
Right.
it.
It makes sense because of a lot of like opto settings on compressors because it's all based from like an old
Yeah, it's light.
light-based
Right,
compressor and
right.
like lights the.
It's fast.
I guess in analog gear everything's traveling at the speed of light with like electrons. But
True. But yeah,
I always had the impression that it was like faster attack and faster release as well.
I'm not 100% behind attack, but I know the release is fast as fuck on that boy, and that's sick because you slam anything like just 14 decibels into that thing with like a skosh of reverb or delay on it, make a super fast release, and oh man, that baby just breathes, wide open. It's so nice. So you can have like 2% of a reverb coming through, and it's gonna grab that tail and just boost it for a second, and it just
nice.
yeah, it's nice. It's real
Come
nice.
into the light.
It's there's probably a way to make it like pretty transparent, but I kind of like the fact that you can kind of drive it pretty hard, and it'll distort on optical. I've been finding it distort easier on optical than anything else, which I'm jazzed about.
Especially the fast release.
Yeah, I love that distortion from a compressor. Almost couldn't get the word out of my mouth. But yeah, the optical setting on C2's been sick. I've got it on like everything besides vocals and groups. Groups are still bus mode because I want that super slow, just riding the dynamics, creating more dynamics as it kind of just sits there and bounces on things. Though I haven't tried like the bus setting while digging into things. But opto is super fun to dig into shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm always confused by compressors because like when I started,
Welcome.
I know,
to the rest
right?
of us.
Yeah, it's gonna be like a consistent thing forever. Like when I first started, everyone was always like, "Don't overdo compression. Like, be aware, be aware." So I think I've like always just kind of like underdone it because I'm always like kind of scared, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. But like, how do you guys like set up your compressors? Like, what's like how deep do you go with the threshold? How hard do you push ratio? Shit like that.
To me, it really depends on like the input signal. I'm always trying to get compressing. If it's hitting a compressor, the majority of the time I want it to be hitting the compressor all the time. It's not an every scenario kind of thing. So in terms of like
that's
threshold
interesting.
settings and all of that, it really depends on like the input level that I'm giving into it. So it's not so much a threshold setting as it is like an attack and release and then a ratio setting.
Okay.
Those are the main ones I care about.
Sure.
Yeah.
I think like generally what I like from it is I usually have like a pretty fast attack. It's faster to let me go, not necessarily to 0, but always about like 10 milliseconds. So like 0.1, not 0.01, always about 10. And then I like a little bit slower of a release or a automatic release, which the Ableton compressor has. But again, that's a hard question to answer. In terms of just like my general thoughts on compression, it is definitely more so I'm going for gain reduction, and the knobs that I'm really trying to hone in are attack, release, and then the ratio.
Gain reduction is the main thing. I like that though. Like if you're gonna hit a compressor, you want that sound to be always hitting the compressor. Meaning, if there's like a lot of dynamics in whatever you're doing, you're not just trying to clip off one little area. You're trying to clip off that, and then the next, whatever the lowest peak is, basically,
Right, you're
is
trying to
where you're
bring it-
setting your threshold.
It's always compressing. It's
It's
not just
getting
hitting the
to
compressor
some-
on certain things. If I wanted it to just hit and like clip or something, I wouldn't use a compressor. I'd use a limiter or a clipper. Like if I'm using a compressor, I want it to compress the thing.
Sure.
It's a good point. Yeah. No, I love that. I will do a compressor differently based on what I'm doing with it. But I mainly use compressors to either reduce the amount of dynamics in a sound. So if I feel like it's doing too much variation in dynamics and I want it to be less varied, then and usually I do,
Sure.
use a compressor for that. Or on groups, I like using compressors on groups for adding dynamics to the transients.
Right.
Basically adding transients back because I'm clipping the fuck out of everything, and there's no transients left.
Just becomes a
Right.
fucking chunk.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So you juice.
There's
them
no
back in.
actual like pokies
Right, it's
happening
just-
because they're getting just cut off in the processing
Right.
portion.
Right.
So one thing to note also on that, Austin, that I've like come to realize is like different compressors. And modern compressors are like so technical, so they can have like a bunch of different modes, like C2 or something. But like, I like kind of simple compressors, and I find that there's like a sweet spot of the compression that it wants to give. So an example with like glue compressor, I really am kind of always trying to hit like negative 10 dB of gain reduction on it. And I find that's just like a good spot to kind of aim for. And then I usually add in the 10 dB of makeup gain just so it's kind of like a flatter sound. It's definitely hitting the compressor. It's always getting 10 decibels of gain reduction. It's making it up. So I'm just getting the tone of the compressor at that point. It's just, it's almost like saturation.
Yeah, makes sense.
So like I love finding the sweet spot of an effect. Like when just when you have an effect and like it just sounds good at like 40% with like 30% dry wet. Like I love the sweet spot. So I think it's very much dependent on each compressor.
Sure, for sure. And
Totally.
What you're using it for, like compressing vocals. Well, this isn't true. Compressing a piano is very different than compressing drums. Piano isn't going to have a lot of transients. It's going to have a couple, but then it's going to have a lot of sustaining notes. So that's when you're going to have fun with your release. Like, how much of those sustained notes do you want brought up with everything
you probably
else?
want a little longer release. on
Right,
that.
because you kind of want it to catch it and get that tail kind of thicker
Fatter,
until
yeah.
it starts tapering off. Where if you just had a really fast release, then it would hit the compressor and then it would let go of the rest of the audio and let it just play
So
at its normal.
fatter, and then it's quiet quickly.
Right. Where have you
Definitely finding the sweet spot of all the knobs is like what you need to search for. Best way to do that is like drive it in and then
tinker?
understanding like what tones you're actually going for super hard at the beginning, but like the more you practice, you get better at it.
Sure.
And that's like, well, I like to drive into those things. Then you can really find out where like the sweet spots are. Because you're right, like a perfect release time. I don't really compress my drums other than like parallel compression, but I love like when you.
Man, I compress the fuck out of my
Dude,
drums.
you guys would hate how I make drums. Dude, oftentimes in my songs, my drums end up as full tracks. Like at the end, like I'm not editing on a channel by channel basis. My drums are flattened to,
Just a full thing?
yeah,
Funny.
like, dude, it's
They're in no group at all.
it's just a
They're
track
are
of
they getting
drums
buzzed
and then
together?
like, what's up?
Oh,
Like,
you mean
just
you
flat-
just
like
have a
stemmed out
single
into
flattened
one.
out drums?
Yeah.
dude, like I do it
Oh,
all.
that's fine.
Yeah, like I often end up with that.
Whatever.
Depends on what you did before that,
Yeah.
in
Right.
my eyes. But
Yeah.
drums in particular, when it comes to compression, I hold by the 4-to-1 ratio law. That's kind of arbitrary. Like you could go infinity ratio, like who fucking cares? Also, that's just going to be more apparent, like in terms of the compression that you're hearing. 4-to-1, I've just heard from shitloads of audio engineers in terms of like them miking drums and compressing like live drums. It's always a 4-to-1. That's like
Yeah.
always
Yeah,
the
people
thing.
like a 4-to-1 on drums.
And what
Even
I
with,
found
like,
is
presets and stuff. Yeah.
Sure. The 4-to-1 on C2, on Opto too. I've been using the Opto on the drums, and it seems to be pretty fucking good. But when it comes to drums, like I'm kind of doing an in between. I'm trying to kind of chop the peaks, but not really, while also trying to glue down the dynamics. But every single hit is going to have its own compressor. Every hi-hat channel is going to have its own compressor. Every off snare is going to have its own compressor. Because each one of those compressors is telling me where I want the drums in a depth field. So if I have a hi-hat that's got a super fast attack, it's going to be sitting behind the snare, which is fine. But if I want that hi-hat to sit in front of the snare, all I got to do is open the attack a little bit, and next thing I know, it just pops up in front because now more of
so you're
that
letting the
transient,
transient through,
more of that
yeah.
transient's coming
Okay.
through. So I've learned most of my compression knowledge from just tinkering with drums on a compressor, because you can really just sit there and just move them back and forth and back and forth just with a couple different knobs. And then you can get your drums to sit in this kind of semicircle that's a little thick, as opposed to just drums coming right down the middle, constantly, always on or off. Like now you get to have all these kind of different layers happening, and that's kind of to the extent that I compress most of my things.
That is interesting.
It usually comes down to depth. Like, where do I want it in the mix? There's usually the dynamic question first. Like, is this too dynamic? Do I need to make it less? Okay, let's squish it real quick. Then the second compressor or whatever is used for depth. That's usually like on the end of most channels before the limiter that's on them. There's a compressor either doing a lot or a little. You know, whether it's telling it to push it way back or just a little bit.
Yeah. Aquat's super into this over here. He's
Let's
like, I don't
go.
know how to use compressors only on vocals.
Hit that
We got
bottom.
you, man. We got you.
Which one is it? Is it the first page, bottom
The
left?
compression. Let's talk. I think it's first page. Yeah.
Yeah, I made it for this discussion
Let's go.
a year ago.
Yeah, we finally get to use it.
So what we can easily tell you here, and it's what Caleb was just alluding to, but basically compressors are a really good way to push something backwards in the mix into the background or to pull it into the foreground. And the way you go about doing that is you fuck with the attack, basically. So in regular life, when you're walking around IRL, sound that is far away is more compressed. You know, you could do this test. Have a friend go clap in the other room, and then have a friend go clap right in front of you, and you're going to really distinctly tell a few things. You know, you're going to hear way more high end. It's going to be more stereo if it's up front,
Transient's
really
gonna
close
be
to
super
you.
Sharp.
Yeah, you're going to hear really nice, crispy transients. They go from the other room. It's just more muffled. It's all one level of sound. It's not, you're not hearing a transient at that point. At that point, you're just hearing all of the sounds that have managed to get to you at that point. So if you want something to be more back in the background of your mix, you pull your attack all the way. Don't let anything go through. Even put a little bit of look ahead on it. Look ahead just basically the look ahead on a compressor is like when the compressor would typically react to a transient, it just pulls that reaction, the exact reaction that it would do with no look ahead, back by however much the look ahead is set to. So
Right.
so if it's a, let's say 10 millisecond attack time and you pull back by 10 milliseconds, that means it will be fully compressing the sound by the time the sound happens.
Right. You
Or
get 15
as far as hitting the threshold
milliseconds.
goes.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. So that can be very good for that. You don't really need to go too much further than, you don't need to go very far with a look ahead. Like look ahead's like on the
I
C2
think you need
it
to be
has
careful with look
shit
aheads.
tons.
Yeah.
Yeah, the look ahead on the C2, you can put like a whole bar.
You can go like
ahead.
255
Yeah, it's fucking
milliseconds
crazy.
or something.
I don't know why.
It's like,
I don't know why.
why would you ever need that?
I think it's
So-
for like sweeping things, like big orchestral pieces. Like I don't know,
Oh, I
like
guess that makes sense.
like if a
but-
timpani is like building over the course of 16 bars or something. I don't know.
No, it's so fucking weird.
so-
But
Maybe
you-
like rendering offline too, just having an option of like super high fidelity, like oversampling. Maybe it's similar to that. I don't know. I just like maybe, you know.
yeah, yeah. Well, either way, if you want a really fast attack, I would say maybe put the look ahead on like 5 milliseconds or 3 milliseconds
Right.
or something like that, and then do the fastest attack that you have, and then it will be compressing immediately.
Right.
Otherwise, don't use the look ahead ever.
Right. I mean, yeah, I rarely use the look ahead.
Yeah, I
It's gotta
rarely
be-
use
it's
the
gotta
look
be
ahead,
real
too.
specific where I cannot get that thing to stay under the attack time.
Yeah.
And then
You're
I'll
just
move
still
it.
getting that click.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so you
Which
got to
at that
pull
point,
the look ahead.
I usually will throw like a clipper in front of it.
Yeah.
And then boom, it's fixed. That it just
Mm-hmm.
it just kills the click, and then the compressor has time to
So
grab
so
it.
that's actually kind of a good note for Aquat. Is that how you guys say it?
Acuate, yeah.
Acuate.
Something like
Aquat.
that.
We don't really know.
Aquat. I actually like that one.
Aquat.
I did-
Aquat.
Okay.
Sorry, Aquat, if that's not it. But
It's
I think another thing
it's
to
a
notice
marine
about
animal.
this is like there's a lot of scenarios where using look ahead, it's like a click or dealing with a click or something. I wouldn't necessarily probably even use a compressor at that point. I would just take out that click with volume
Or just cut
like
it
I
out.
love like
Yeah,
hard cuts and volume.
Yeah,
So like
exactly.
there's a lot of these things. Learn how to use one compressor really good, but I think a lot of good advice too is you can do a lot of the same things multiple ways. So compression, if you just think about it, it's kind of like a level processing
It's a
thing.
gain reduction.
Yeah, exactly.
instrument.
So it's dealing with
Automatic
gain. So you can do
gain
a lot
reduction.
you can do a lot of more refined work by just manually manipulating volume.
Right. Or like a volume shaper or an LFO type of thing. You can faux compress. Like I'll do that on my kick a lot of times over compression. I'll just use volume shaper and make a shape that has like an attack and then like a little compression area and then a release. And my kicks.
I try to make so much
Come
movement
out.
and just volume automation, and like that's honestly my first fix all the time now. Like I just go for volume
Sure.
fixes more so
mean,
than anything.
Majority of the time, that's what it is. That's like mixing 101. Check your volumes first. Like you could get a good mix with just levels.
You definitely, bro. I hear so many songs where I'm just like I could have mixed that with just
Right.
volume way
Right.
better.
Exactly.
And just fades. And I don't mean just volume, like picking something, oh, this needs to be at negative 12 dB, this needs to be at negative 18. It's just like, no, I can sculpt a kick
Right.
with just volume.
Right.
I can get like the transient of a snare to pop with just volume.
Yeah,
I can
you-
get the interaction between all the drum hits to go together better with just volume than I. So it's simpler in many.
Yeah, no, you can. That's all a compressor is. It's just an automatic gain reducer. It's like the opposite of a gate, basically.
Yeah, and it's invisibly doing things.
Mm-hmm.
So volume automation, almost like an easier thing to know that like.
Right. What's happening? Is
Then
what you're
again,
doing.
like, do you really trust the automation line?
true. How actual is that line?
Pretty fucking actual.
It's
Is it?
not completely though. It's not always trustworthy. There are
It's not.
situations.
When's the last time you had a song that was ruined by like a hundredth of a millisecond on
On-
a kick fade?
Bruh, I did not do fucking volume automation, really.
I do.
Everybody has to do-
but not like
I'm
that.
not doing it
I don't do it
on
like
the
that.
like
No.
minute levels. I do slow volume automation and cuts.
Oh, I
Yeah.
get deep
That's
into
about it.
dude. It's interesting.
That's about it
I
for
know
me.
everybody makes music different, but even hearing how you guys are talking about it, because just like it's different flows for sure.
You get
'Cause
really fine tuned with it.
I have dude. All my
Ah.
kicks and snares are refined with volume automation and fades. Every single one of them.
That's dope.
Oftentimes,
Cohen
all my
actually does
snares
that a
are
lot.
different. Oftentimes, like throughout the whole song, the snare will have a different fade out on each individual hit. It's a pain in the fucking ass, but
That's how I am with hi hats for sure. Like my main off hat for house music, that one gets sculpted on a 16 bar ratio.
Yeah.
Like every single one of those hits in 16 bars is going to be different.
so you get the
Slightly,
variation
yeah.
for sure. There's
Yeah.
other ways to like automate that, but sometimes it's nice, especially when you need it to do like a certain thing.
And when I know what I like to hear, and I can do it the moment I bring the hi hat in and I audition, and I'm like, the hi hat works. Now I got to sit here and for 20 minutes sit here and move them, adjust them.
Oh,
fade
you
'em.
said 16 bar?
Yeah, 16 bars.
Woo!
Yeah, a lot.
Every hat is doing its
yes,
own thing.
Yes,
Good for you.
it's basically boiled down to that because I can't get it to sound good otherwise.
And honestly,
Well,
dude,
that's not 100% true, but
yeah, there's
I'm
something
picky.
about that like tedious process that most producers, most just people want to be lazy and they're like, oh, like I know this will do a better thing, but like no one's really gonna notice, but like it does make such a
oh
difference.
man, once you do
When
it
you
for
do
the
that
first
with-
time and it pulls off, and you're like, that's how they do it.
Yeah.
And it
They-
takes
they-
a
they
long
just spend
time
forever.
for it to pull
It just
off.
takes your track up that extra 10%, 5%, which like adds up. And like that stands out against all of like the millions of producers that are out there and like
Sure.
you know, not to shit on most of them, but I guarantee most of them are kind of lazy.
You shit on me.
You want to know what to think? Like how I think about that, and like because dude, I think of myself as
Maybe
a
not.
lazy producer. You know, like
honestly, same,
my
a lot
whole-
of the time.
My whole production philosophy has been literally this whole time just trying to find out how I can make all this stuff as easy as possible. And that was a slow journey, but like, why don't you take the simpler road? And like, best thing I got for that is there's two schools of thoughts. Like, yeah, give it that work, but the best thing to speed it up, you got to learn all the quick keys. And you got to learn all the shortcuts because that's when you could do it like quite a bit faster.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you had to go in and hit like drag it manually on each one or something, or just select it and then you just hit control the asterisk one next to it F and it just does the outfade or something. So I think learning the quick keys like helps speed the process up of like further customizing and getting into those like nitpicky things.
Sure.
Oh, 100%, yeah. And even on like on the minor scale, you're doing that. Maybe you're saving half a second to like 3 seconds, depending like whatever kind of thing. And it doesn't seem like a lot in that moment, but after you've been making music
After
like
8
5
hours,
years
yeah.
and you get that like extra 30 seconds saved every hour, like shit adds up. That's like hours and hours and hours of time that you spend just doing random bullshit that didn't need to be done.
Dude,
Could've made another 10
it's really
tracks.
not even like 30 seconds. It's just like, dude, every like hour you're saving 45 minutes. Like
Yeah.
straight up on some of these crazy edits or like just
Sure.
left click. Dude, there's so many shortcuts. But once I learned all the shortcuts, I still find new ones that are good.
Sure.
Dude, whenever I find one, I make myself like do it like
A bunch?
20, like
Yeah.
a bunch
Yeah.
of times.
Exactly.
Yeah. Ingrain it into your head.
Oh, dude,
yeah.
I have most of them. Like I'm pretty quick.
Nice. That's what's up.
Do we know what Kickstart is? Is
I
it
don't
is
know
it
what
basically
Kickstart is.
Kick 2 but another version?
I have no idea.
Can we look it up real quick? I feel like Aquat's given us some good little bits to munch on
Seems
over
like
here,
a shaper box type thing.
and we should
LFO
encourage
tool.
such things.
Yeah.
Let's
Aqua, we
check
got
it
you
out.
on this shit. All you have to do is ask us the questions.
It's true.
It might take a
You
sec to
want to
get
know
there.
about compressors? Just ask us about compressors.
That goes with every single one of you folks out there
Yep.
lurking in chat.
That's right.
We see you.
Yeah, and if you're on YouTube, leave it in the comments. Go to our Discord. There's a questions
What's
area
it called?
on there.
Start.
Yeah, let's see what this is. It's either because he brings up LFO tool, so it's either LFO
Oh,
tool.
I remember this
Oh,
thing.
it is LFO tool.
Yeah, it's a
But does it
side
like
chainer.
shaper box.
specifically react to the
It's-
kick?
It's specific. Yeah, it's specifically
Whatever
a
MIDI
kick
input you'd
side
want.
chainer.
I would imagine, right?
Yeah, but I remember this coming out and being like, "This is the sidechain king."
Right,
Um,
right.
So you can feed it in a
Mickey
a
Romero.
sidechain trigger. So Aqua, immediately what I'm seeing on this is like, do you see those curves on it? Those are just volume curves, brother.
Yep, that's what
Like,
all those are.
Yeah, they are volume curves.
Those
also,
are volume.
is that
curves.
how you're doing your sidechain?
What's up?
Oh.
Just volume curves?
Oftentimes there's nothing even hitting, or like I just intentionally nothing's even hitting when the kick or snare are hitting that I even
Oh,
have
so
to
you're not
sidechain.
even sidechaining some of the time.
If I do sidechain, there's a new one that I use called Duck Buddy, but I don't have a preference on what's best. Like, there's-
buddy.
Yeah.
Dude, I saw that in one of the
Let's see
projects.
this.
It
Use
was
that
so
thing.
cute.
I'll show you
Yeah.
how to use it. It's
See
sweet.
this.
It's free
Yeah.
too.
And it has
Can
a
we
fun
pull
little
it up?
background. Yeah, Duck
What-
Buddy. It's so cute.
Dude, Duck Buddy, Slink made it.
That sounds like a
Oh,
sling.
that-
Shout out Slink.
I mean,
Nice. He's doing a
been
good troll. I
preaching-
like it.
He's been preaching for years. More sidechain. More sidechain. More sidechain. And I am 100% behind him.
This is the best one. You feed it in a MIDI sidechain trigger, and then it's just neat.
Yeah.
Was it a Max thing?
Yeah. Also, dude, if you use Ableton,
that's
you can
not it.
find almost
Is that
any
it?
plugin. Yeah,
not
that's
it, right?
it.
Oh.
Yes, it is. It has an external window. If you hit that little
Oh, that's
plus
okay.
thing, and so then you can open it up. So look, you have your sidechain curve,
Mm-hmm.
obviously, and then like the blue one will be you can pick any signal from within your track to reference, and it'll show the waveform of that. Not completely accurate to an oscilloscope, but a pretty accurate waveform, so that you can then sidechain and then to that signal, and then the purple one
Oh, I
is
see.
the combination of the green and the blue.
Nice, nice.
Oh, what? That's fucking
Very good.
dope.
Yeah, it's a
Very
helpful,
good.
and it's free.
Wow. That's really cool.
For Ableton.
Yeah, the amount of times I've just like
True.
done the sidechain and had to do like the extra audio channel, and you just like keep recording and you see how your kick and sub are getting along. That's just like built in. That's the purple guy. That's what you're saying, right?
I mean, you do this until your ears are good enough.
wow, thanks, Caleb. I mean, no, you're not
I'm
wrong
just
for
joshing.
sure.
You want to know what's
Gotcha.
funny? I
That
use
is the
this
thing,
reference.
yeah.
I use this reference, but I hone in most of the time on like when it's the ear,
Right.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
when it's hit.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. 100%.
Like, you know, obviously don't have it all the way to the left if you can see it's wrong, but like there's probably a big difference between a couple millimeters to the left or right, and then
Right.
those are the ones you got to hone in at
The
the
question
ear.
is, can this do different ducks for different sections of the frequency
Right.
band? Like, can I do this curve for low end and then do a tighter one for mid range and then a super tight one for the top?
You'd have to make a multi-effect track the same way you would in Ableton.
Sure,
It's not, I just
easy.
sidechain fully though.
Yeah, it's
like
not
I'll
hard.
just do it. I'll just do a dead sidechain.
I don't. I use this bad boy, Shaper box, and
box.
you get 3-band EQ up here, and I'll make slightly different ones for each thing. So the kick's gonna kick out most of the bottom end, and then for the mid range, just a little bit, and the top end none. So that none of my top end shit is constantly ducking.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, depending on song. Like some songs, I do want that duck out of the top.
Quint.
Yeah, Aqua was initially being like you have to put MIDI for LFO tool in order to get it to respond correctly, and saying that takes longer. Caleb and I do that.
Yep.
On
I
every
do that
single
too.
one of our tracks.
Yeah.
Austin does it.
Even with Duck Buddy, you have to do it.
You have to do a
Yeah.
MIDI input?
Yeah. It can be measured off an impulse from just like a drum rack, so it could be a drum hit or a weird hit.
Yeah. Okay.
But
yeah,
like
yeah,
you
yeah.
have to feed it a trigger.
Right. Well, with like Volume Shaper, LFO tool, you literally have to send it MIDI. So it is slightly a pain in the ass, but only once you until you figure it out.
Right.
The,
Yeah.
the real trick is when you start making your drums, just link your click trigger to your kick drum, so that whenever you copy paste it, edit it, they're always just linked to each other. So
like a parallel. That's actually kind of.
well, dude, it's a setting in Ableton. You can just link tracks together. So whenever you make one edit to like one track,
Oh, that's true. Isn't that new with 10 or 11 or something?
Really?
I
I
think
didn't
that's
know that was a
relatively
thing.
new.
Yeah.
So
you
wait, so
just
like
just group the tracks, highlight them, right click, and then just hit link tracks. So I just do that from the get go.
That's tight. Okay, so then you
Because
don't even need the MIDI
because
trigger,
your
you
drums
just
are
use the
in
kick.
MIDI.
Well, no, you can link an audio clip to a MIDI clip.
And it'll make a MIDI
Input.
trigger.
So like I
Oh,
have
no, just any edit you do, it'll...
any edit you do.
So if
like
you
it's
do-
2 clips, you're still dealing with 2 little clips. I'm talking about Ableton.
Right.
So like you're
But if you duplicate the waveform of a kick and there's a MIDI note above it, it's going to duplicate that MIDI note
Yep.
also? Okay, cool. Sick.
That's fucking sick.
dope. That's
I did
nice.
not know about that.
Oh,
That's really sick.
weird.
I just usually highlight both of them and...
That's what I've always
duplicate.
done. Yeah.
Yeah.
also not
Yeah.
not a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Just
if you're
do it
worried about it
twice.
taking time and doing it at the end, because it does take, this is why you should learn your quick keys. It's the difference between taking 3 minutes versus 20. Then just link them and do it from the beginning.
Yeah.
Another way to
Makes
make it
perfect
a
sense.
hell of a lot faster, make a template.
And I just leave those tracks
have the
linked. So
template,
like
yeah.
anytime, they don't even have to be touching in the set. Like I can
Sure, they're across the set.
Yeah,
right?
like-
Interesting. Okay, that's cool.
Yeah, I just have everything set up from the start. Like I have a kick trigger. It's already ready to go. All I gotta do
Yeah.
is... And my kick's in kick too, so I literally just make the kick and then I just duplicate it down and there's all my triggers.
I think-
right
That's my
there.
workflow
I think
too,
this is
yeah.
like an even better point that like should like resonate, is that you can do all this stuff to Precursor. I don't make a new kick trigger each time I do it. I have that thing already made and I
Right.
save it to my library.
Right.
So exactly, like all these things that do take time, there's ways to make them take less time next time.
And like here, down here on my music channel, like it's already set up. Shaperbox is already set up with my default. All I gotta do is move this to low and make a new low one or whatever. Move this to here, and now I have all my high end free to do whatever.
Yeah.
But it's already ready to go with a template every single time.
Yeah.
Because that for me is key. Like I don't want to. I agree. It takes forever to set all that up. So I just make a template. And there's a bunch of times where I'm like, all right, I need to like remove a bunch of these things in here. But I'd rather delete things as soon as I get into a project than be like, oh, I got to spend 30 minutes setting shit up before I can even jam. Like that shit drives me nuts.
Yeah. Just kills the creative flow.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
That's no good.
There's another thing I always remember hearing when I first started producing is like everyone was always saying like, oh, when you sidechain, everything has to sidechain at the same time. Like make sure everything is like high, low, high, mid, low. All the channels, like everything is doing it at the same like pumping
Same
time period.
curvature.
Yeah,
Yeah, if
which
you're-
which makes sense, and like there is definitely use for that. But like, what do you guys think about? And I guess you were just saying like with Shaperbox, you have it separately on high,
Right.
mid, low.
Right.
Like I feel
and
like
it's
there's
not
a beauty
every
to that.
song. I
Yeah.
have it set like that so that as the song progresses, I'm like, okay, the highs are getting taken too much out, and now I can go and fine tune my kick trigger. Or my sidechain. A lot of times, I'll get through even the super loop before I even put the kick trigger in and activate the
Right,
sidechain.
for sure.
Like I'll get super far in the groove before I'm like, oh yeah, sidechain.
Dude, I can't do that.
And
I
I'll
try
throw
my
it in.
best not to
Sidechain on,
forget
and
that.
you're like,
Yeah, everything's like,
yeah.
it disappeared.
yeah,
No.
right. No, most
There
of the
is
time,
that.
most of the time I'm just like, oh, there's my kick. It sounds
Right. Yeah.
different. Now I
True.
got to like adjust my kick a little bit. But
Yeah.
I don't start off sidechaining either. I'm down to get far in the super loop
Yeah.
before I usually enact it.
Same.
Really.
Same with limiting. I don't really like. I don't have a preference on this. I
Yeah.
can get a couple hours in without sidechaining and limiting,
Agreed.
and I do like to add the limiter in once it's kind of like a full formed idea, because then it's just like a little present and it's fun.
Right.
You're like, then it's just like, okay,
You
cool. I
push
can
it
get
into
it.
it.
I can get it to
Yeah.
the end.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah.
Especially too, once you've gotten to that point, you can kind of push it into a limiter, and the things that are trash are going to show themselves pretty quick. Like if you throw it into a limiter and that one sound that you were iffy about starts screaming through the mix, you're like, oh yeah, that thing needs to go. You know?
So to answer your initial question, I've been thinking about this quite a bit more because, again, I do think my whole philosophy on making music, and I don't think this is right or wrong, is how fast can I make it? It's the creative dump. Like when I'm in the zone of writing music, like, dude, the shit fucks me up a little bit. Like I'm all cracked out on caffeine. I'm on a bunch of nicotine. Like it's like an ordeal, you know, at the end of it. Like,
All
yeah,
jacked up on
totally.
Mountain Dew.
yeah. But anyway, so like I kind of often do have just like a whole sidechain group where I duck everything to that. But more than anything now, I'm adding in like track delays, and then I'm doing a lot of like additional delays with like an additional delays with delays where it'll literally just be a millisecond offset coming from the delay. It's not even being treated as a delay with feedback or anything. 100% dry wet. I'll add some delay onto that, so it's just hitting like a 64th note like later or something like that. And then with track delays as well, I'm really just trying to get so like no noises are even like made. They're so offset from each other and they're so swung out that like it's not even if it is going through one side chain, it's going through the side chains differently coming from the delay where it still has the flavor, where it doesn't seem super consistent. And that's
Yeah.
my lazy way of like still getting the steez out of it without going in. And then I use track spacer a lot for like the additional multi-band dynamic processing from like the
Right.
kick or the snare. I love track spacer.
Track spacer is sick.
I've seen people do this sidechain different ways. Like even I don't disagree with how Caleb's doing like his multi-band stuff. I do it like a lazier way. And like I do it with like the track delays, the delay, one sidechain group, and then I really try kind of get it done with like timing of the note hits more so than like any effect. It's like when it's hitting in time.
That's why it's
Yeah.
good
Yeah.
to it can be good to wait to put your sidechain on, because when you have your sidechain on, you're not going to be focusing on timing stuff like that, because the sidechain's getting rid of that timing stuff. It just is doing the job for you. If you don't have the sidechain on, then you, instead of looking for the sidechain to fix your issue, you just like, oh, well, I'll just make it like 10 milliseconds later, 15 milliseconds later, all of a sudden it starts to be present again, and
You start
lets
getting
your
that
kick
dirty
sing
swing.
again.
Then you start getting that dirty swing,
right,
man.
that's
Like-
Yeah.
And you
If you have to sidechain your song, like you have to do it to get the bass and the kick to work together, then maybe just like rewrite the bass line.
Yeah.
Like the bass doesn't have to hit every kick. Like the side chain almost comes to a point of it's more of a safety net / allows you to push it to -6 LUFS because nothing's getting in the way of the kick at all. But if you just like back in the day, they didn't have sidechain; they just didn't have a bass hit on the kick.
Yeah.
That's why
The workaround.
most house music is all bouncy because the bass is on the upbeat, the kick's on the downbeat, so you get that doom doom doom. You get that
Yep.
pumping anyways.
That like difference in the
Right.
sub frequencies
Right.
moving back and forth.
Exactly.
So it's like,
Right. Quick question, real quick. Does Ableton have templates you can save?
Yeah.
Oh, it does. Okay. All right. Well, there you go. Accurate. Maybe my statement is of.
You can
Oh.
save one as like the default template, so when you open Ableton, it just opens that one.
Oh, okay.
But you can also just save project files into like a little template folder. and
That's
be like,
exactly what I used to do.
Yeah.
And I would just open the
Yeah,
same
same.
project and then resave it as something else every time.
Oh, okay, yeah, yeah.
But Accurate works in FL, but he says that they do have templates. But yeah, dude, it's so you just got to make it one Saturday. You just got to make it, and you're gonna kind of adjust it for a couple months until it's like exactly where you want it.
Definitely.
And then it's the best because you open it and you can just start.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All your
Also,
shit is just
so
ready.
nice.
You just have to get over caring about the fact that you've got to work on it, because what you really have to do, I mean, a template is great, but it's not really that useful if what you did in the first place wasn't that good. So like
Yeah.
You're doing a
Sidechain is like talked about constantly forever by every fucking tutorial person on the planet, and somehow people can't figure out how to do it. I don't understand, but it does take a long time to figure out and like really get your ears tuned to like, okay, that's what it's doing. This is what I want out of it. This is like how much I need, blah, blah, blah. Like it's going to take a little while to figure it out. And you're probably not going to get it right on your first template. My template as is isn't even right. I have to adjust it every single time.
I still have to adjust my template a little bit.
Yeah.
It's just that one little thing you're like, oh, fuck.
But it's also, I kind of leave it that way because it's like in between the things I make.
It's mostly there.
Sure.
Like it's mostly there. The sidechain is a little slow because I made the template at like 76 BPM or whatever. And now I resaved the template at 136 BPM. So now the sidechain's a little wider than I'd like it. So every time I turn it on, I got to go in there and like cut it back a little bit to make it tighter.
Definitely.
But it's good because, you know, if it's always tight, then I never, you know, there was one song I made where I left it open because I liked how much it pumped, you know?
Right.
There's times where
Dude, yeah, I've been doing that more
kind of
lately.
got to play
and
around.
it's so much fun. Like I was always the like trying to get it as tight as I possibly could kind of thing. But like since I've been making a little bit more like dance music kind of stuff and a little bit more future bass, you can really let shit swell, and it sounds really nice. Yeah.
One thing that's OP, and you were kind of bringing this up with track spacer, is you make your kicks sidechain like that utilitarian sidechain, super short. So it just
transparent.
It just does the thing it needs to do. It's not there for flavor. It's there for utility purposes only. And then you have sidechains all over the place that are super pumpy, that are sidechaining to like other things in the mix and are sidechaining to the kick, but you know, just with a compressor because you just want pumping or whatever. And you can do a bunch of fucking super cool movement and shit with like that kind of creative sidechain.
I like to build in a secondary sidechain
for the snare
that just sits on. Well, that's a good thing to do. Yeah, have a kick and a snare separate.
I have two.
Yeah, it's a good way to go because then you can have that snare one not hitting a bunch of low end and disrupting your sub bass
And twice as fast.
and you can make it super fast because snares are usually very fast.
Yeah.
And then you have an extra one that is just a flavor. It's just a flavor sidechain.
Yeah.
And you have a separate sidechain trigger channel. And just every once in a while you hit that bad boy and it just ducks the whole thing like crazy.
Yeah, sure.
Right. Yeah.
And it's just a fun thing to like put a trigger somewhere and move it around and see where it makes
does.
a fun thing happen with all the
Or have your
music
like
that
eighth
you're
note
going through.
triggers or your 16th note triggers or just a bunch of them, and then you can just like constantly duck anything to it.
Yeah.
And it just turns rhythmic.
Yeah.
Yep. 100%.
That's fun.
You were spot on though. It's like sidechain. I feel like it's because it's the first complex idea that you learn where it's just like, okay, that can clearly be beneficial to my music, and it's the first thing you hear about and everybody talks about it. But it's really, again, it's the nuance in where you place things, the volume that you use them, more so than just sidechaining something or understanding proper settings for sidechain. Because I don't think, sounds like off this conversation, everybody has different settings for each specific song on how they're using sidechain.
Every time.
yeah.
And that's the thing we've all experimented for the past,
And it's still experimenting. It's not like
so long.
Yeah. So we've tried all the things. I'm sure, you know.
Dude,
And
I
just
have
kinda
been.
settle on,
Oh my
okay, I
God,
like this
so
one.
many different ways of sidechain
Yeah.
I've gone through.
I know,
This
right?
is the best.
I always
for
think
me.
it's funny when John asks me what sidechain I'm using.
I know.
And I'm like, John, you taught me how to sidechain.
The same one.
Yeah, it's the one I've been using for a while now. It's slightly altered based on my current mood
Right.
of how I like my sidechains, but like it's pretty straightforward, dude. I'm not out there doing all the experimenting on my
No.
sidechain
No.
style.
Mid
It
side,
doesn't need
side
to.
chain delays.
Like I figured
fucking-
it out for me the way I like it for now.
There's
Yeah.
way cooler things to experiment with
Yeah.
than Sidechain.
And then if it's not good enough sidechain, flatten that shit and then do the manual fades where it wasn't good enough.
Yeah, be a calyx. Don't be scared.
Yep.
Be a drum and bass producer. Sometimes you got to fade everything. You know?
Dude, or you just make it in the drum rack where everything chokes to itself.
Yep. 100%. 100%.
Yeah. Totally. Yeah, you get a fun sound out of that too.
Sidechain. What a weird.
Why did we
Fucking
even do
hate
that?
it, but I love
I know,
Doug
right?
Buddy.
It's
That was
your
the last
fault we
cool Max
talked
for
about
Live
it.
device I found.
Doug Buddy, yeah.
Doc Buddy is shit.
Dude, it's a good little Max for Live tool, man. Super
So
reliable
cute.
too.
Yeah, there was
Well,
another
Doug
one
Buddy.
a little bit
I'm gonna definitely check that out.
before we switched to FL. There was some FET Snap.
Bitwig,
No,
you mean?
FET Snap is a Transient Shaper. Yeah, it was a. Oh yeah, before we switched to Bitwig out of Ableton, it was a ducker basically. I can't remember. I think it was like maybe it was like Voxango, but I think it was a Max for Live device.
I'm
That
pretty
some
sure
guy
it's
made.
Max for Live.
And it was like green and super small. It was like this little tiny thing, just had like two little knobs and a display. And
Never
it was
used that one.
It was supposed to be the end all be all of
Someone
Ableton
said it was amazing.
sidechains, and I could never get the motherfucking thing to work. It would never respond to anything. I'd
Really?
send it MIDI, send it audio. It like never would do anything.
It's just like,
Well,
fuck you, dude.
The
I, like,
thing
couldn't
that
get the
was
routing
supposed to
right.
be cool about it was you could send a kick drum to it.
Oh,
and it
yeah,
would
that's right,
turn
right.
it-
And it would turn it to an impulse.
Yeah. That's
and
right.
that was the thing that it was supposed to do, and it didn't work.
No, it didn't work.
My favorite
I'm
thing
sure
about
it
Duck Buddy
works,
is you don't
but-
have to do that fucking stupid up thing that you have to do on LFO Tool or like Gatekeeper or anything. You know where the envelope has to start at the 0 position
Yeah.
and then go down? You can start at pure 0 with Duck Buddy.
Nice.
Dude, I don't know
That's
why.
nice.
It's like a little pet peeve. It's not a big
No,
deal.
I feel that. I
Easy
feel that
to
for
do
sure.
that. It's just one of those things I fucking hate doing.
Yeah.
He just did it for you in the programming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny.
Right.
Like, dude, it's not a pain in the butt. There's just little things that are just
Yeah.
there's certain things that I'm just like, fuck this.
Yeah, so like in Volume Shaper, you have to have it start at 0 dB volume and then go to infinity 0 and then come back up and go back to 0 at the end, because if it stops
Right.
triggering anything, you don't want it to stop at infinity 0, because then you don't have any sound anymore.
Right, exactly. And the way to get around that is, luckily, Bitwig has a time shift. So you make the drop off from full volume down to 0 volume 0.05 milliseconds, so half a millisecond. And then you just shift everything back half a millisecond. So everything's going to hit after it's already dropped.
There's that too.
Yeah, that was pretty huge when we figured that out. I was like, oh my god, it's all smooth. Like now there's like no like kind of tinkering
that's-
to try and get the sidechain to be like right at where you want it to be. You're just like, oh, math.
Yeah,
Okay.
you can do that in Ableton as well.
Yep. We used to do that all the time.
Yeah, what I would do in Ableton, so like what we're talking about is when your sidechain gets triggered, it makes a click because it's not exactly when the trigger happens. So there's
Right.
like that like half a millisecond or whatever it is. I think
That it has to get
for
down
me, I
to
think it was like
0.
3 milliseconds even maybe or something
I just
like
set
that.
mine
It was like-
universally at 0.05 in my template.
right. So I forget what I did in Ableton. I think I would
It was
do
just a
a
delay.
delay
You did the delay thing.
to like push out all of
Everything
the
else.
music,
Everything else.
everything that was getting sidechained
Yeah.
was getting pushed
Push every
late by like whatever 2 milliseconds or something like that.
But it worked.
Why didn't
and
you just-
then
why didn't you just
the
pull up the
trigger was on
trigger?
the 0?
Why didn't you just pull up the trigger?
Because then you have to manually adjust the trigger. Yeah, because
guess you
then
could-
I have
it
to
was-
manually adjust the trigger rather than
Just
Yeah.
kind of
It was
boot
Nudge
honestly
everything.
easier
Nudge
with
everything to the
delay.
right.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
Because I often bring my trigger to
Quick.
the. I often bring my trigger to the end. It gets a little sloppy. I won't do that till the end because you know how that is. If like they're linked together and it's pulled
Yep,
3
yep.
seconds, then it'll get ugly.
Right.
But I usually pull it ahead.
This
but-
would get you around that.
Yeah.
As far as like, especially if you're linking them like that, that sounds super cool. Then you can just put a little bit of a delay before the sidechain, and it does the trigger for you.
Yeah. Most of the time, my
Or the
drums aren't
trick.
even hitting on like a 0 though, dude. Like everything's so swung out and like delayed already. So
Right.
like they're very rarely hitting on like 0 markings anyway. So I usually just leave my side chain And you can link tracks that if something's delayed a little bit and then you link it with something that's a bit pulled forward, they're still linked together. So
Right, they're just in relative space to
yeah,
each other.
it's all the same shit, different ways of doing it.
right.
Because
for
yeah,
sure.
pulling the sidechain ahead or delaying everything else, it's a good technique. It's snappy.
Yeah. I don't think I'm using a time shift
I'm not either. I
I am.
stopped for
of
some
any
reason.
kind
I gotta
right
do
now.
that again. Yeah.
Duck Buddy does it really good. I don't really have to use the time
Dude.
shift with Duck Buddy.
Fucking Duck Buddy for life. I'm so excited to use that.
Yeah,
Dude,
it's solid.
Duck buddies, dude.
Duck Buddies.
Here, let's take a look real quick. See if I have a time shift. I think I still do on here.
We're at an hour.
Mm-hmm.
Oh
Yep,
my
yep.
God. I
time-
thought we had
oh,
like
oh, it's
another
at-
20 at least.
I put this one to 5 for ease. So yeah, if I click on this bad boy, you'll see at the bottom. Yeah, so it says X 0.001, 0.0009, and then I just go over to 5,
Right.
which is 5 milliseconds.
Right.
It's hard to hit.
So like the down
There
the
it is.
down little slope you're giving it is trying to get rid of a click.
Right.
Like a DC offset kind of thing.
Right. Well, if you move this to 0, then it'll DC offset.
Right.
Basically, yeah. So moving it over 5 milliseconds gets rid of that DC offset, and then I just move everything past that,
Yeah.
and you never have an issue. And 5
Right.
milliseconds means nothing to my swing.
Yeah.
Means absolutely nothing.
Well, it's
to my
in
swing.
there. It's built in.
Right. It doesn't. Nothing gets affected at all. It always seems just fine.
Speaking about transients, you said something about a transient shaper. I've been doing something neat with transients lately, and it's not like original, but like, dude, I like just fucking cutting a nice transient off of like anything, like a hat or a snare or something. Literally just putting it on my kick is like the first like 17 seconds.
All
of
right,
it.
Mr. Bill.
Yeah.
That's
That is a Mr. Bill
That's a
move.
Mr.
Is
Bill
it?
move for sure.
And then
Oh,
he
yeah.
also, there's another thing I learned from Mr. Bill, which I do too. It depends on the kick. Everything sounds different, but I do like
Yeah.
that one. And then also not even starting at like 0, just like cutting it over to where it just like starts at the thump. I find that like,
Oh, okay. Okay.
yeah.
Oh.
And yeah, I like that technique. That was a good one. Mad shout out, mad love to Mr. Bill because
Yeah.
that one was a good one. And then also if you just like make the transient out of it, I have to speak Ableton. I'm sure you could do it at everything else, but you know, like you can just turn anything you got into a transient, like your kick already. You just turn it into repitch mode, speed it up like all the
Right.
way, and then it just turns into a nice little
Right.
Yeah, right. Just
Right.
tiny little.
yeah.
Yeah, luckily with Kick 2, I can just like layer a click on top of it because it has 3 other oscillators, so I can just throw, and I can just import any click I want into it, so I can just randomly do that any moment. Plus, I can turn all those off and just have the thump. Kick 2, I can't talk enough about that fucking plugin. I fucking love that thing so much. Oh, it's the best.
Do
It
we
is fucking
want
sick.
to pull Ableton up and try and
Look at your sampler
get
trick.
the little
Maybe sick
I
break
should
and then come
going?
back? Because I'm pretty sure Aqua, yeah, we have 1 viewer, so
Nah.
it doesn't even.
Nah.
Okay.
No, we'll just do
We'll
this
just
real
do
quick.
it real quick.
Sure.
Yeah, how long is your sampler trick?
Gonna take.
As long as we wanted to. I can probably make it in like 40 seconds.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Love to see it.
Sick.
All right, yeah, just show us the trick like we're pros, like we are. You know?
So we can clip this bitch. All right, folks. Sampler trick.
Chong. It's kind of hard to use
Here we go.
at the distance, but you got it.
Right.
Oh yeah, it is a little difficult at this distance.
Yeah, it's a little,
It's
a little
okay, I
hard.
got it.
Don't worry, folks. He's got it.
So let's just
it,
find
guys.
a drum loop.
Plenty of them.
Let's go to. You know what? Actually, even better. Let's just pull up. Where's
Some-
the internet?
That one.
Let's go.
He's gonna download it.
So it works best if you use it with like.
We're
longer
not
content.
on Ableton at the moment, by the way. As far as their view goes.
Yeah, I'll have to switch it. It's all right. Let him get his little.
Just
He's
download.
he's looking for a track right now of his own. Yep.
Look at that.
So I like it with longer content. You can do it with anything, and I'll
Let
show
me
you
see
guys.
the mouse real quick. Zoink.
Oop. Apologies. So
All right,
I got
folks.
my clip.
Okay.
See what tempo we're at. So I'll just throw like a whole fucking long thing in here.
Okay.
We're going into slice mode.
Check the master, see if it has something on it. Nope. Nothing on there? Good. Cool. Yeah. You know what you're doing.
All right. So he's got
All
his
right,
whole
so he
track
drops
here.
a track into a simpler.
Sorry.
Whole track.
Just whole track into simpler. Turn on the gate. We have to turn on the MIDI thing so we can play it. So all this lets me do, as you guys know, I can play different MIDI notes and it'll trigger these different points in the sample based on this. If I turn the sensitivity down, it spreads it out a little bit.
It's based on transients or whatever.
So what I really like on this one is I'll just start from here. We're going to go into warp mode. We'll go into texture. And then I'm really just going to play around with this grain size, shifting it, stretching it, and then the transpose.
Let's go.
And I've been getting a lot of cool noises out of this.
Dude, texture
So,
mode is the shit.
I'm playing on just a QWERTY keyboard, but what I'm going to try to do initially is just find a kick and a snare. We'll go back to normal speed. That'll work.
That's
So
a
I'm just
great
gonna play.
snare.
I'm just gonna play two notes. It's just these two notes, and then we'll play around with grain size, transpose, and then this warp amount. Oh, stretch down. So let's keep going in the song. Let's get to the end.
I like how there's still a kick.
Right? Woo! That was fucking sick.
Oh, this is the thing. This playback has to be on through. Otherwise, it's just going to end at the end of each snippet.
Oh yeah.
That's
yeah.
where I was
That
missing it.
makes sense.
Oh.
This is not a.
This is how you make flume
This is
music.
a free
I know,
plugin.
right? Yeah.
Accurate. It's just a sampler, or in FL Studios, it's the Edison.
Edison.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's the technical term for it. They're called Edison.
Or no, isn't Edison just the recorder?
No,
Like a
it's
sampler?
an Edison is a sampler technically.
Oh, okay.
So there we go.
FLs just took that name.
Yeah,
They're like, this is
and the way
that.
they have their setup is a little bit different, but
Okay.
it is a sampler at its core.
So you're playing with a stretch mode, and you're playing with
The
grain
texture,
size,
the grain size.
grain size,
And that's what's giving it that like
transpose.
choppiness and like the repetition.
There's a couple levels of granulation that's happening here. So by stretching it out and then also playing with pitch over time, just by like playing with this and then doing the transpose and everything, that's one form of granulation on top of the stretching that's happening here.
Right.
So it's really just turning simpler into like a type of granulator instrument.
Right, exactly. It's just an easy way to grab a bunch of random grain shit.
So what if you throw just find another random drum rack when you get
Can you
feel a
automate
moment.
those?
Or like a drum break or something? Yeah, you can. You can automate.
You can't automate the
everything
grain
in
size,
Simpler.
no.
I knew it.
You can.
I fucking
Okay,
knew
so
it.
you can't in Simpler, but you can if it's an audio clip.
Could you?
That's a clip
Could you
itself.
LFO it?
I want to find a cool little groove real quick.
Wait, I think you can in Sampler.
There we go.
Oh, talk about flume.
I'm telling you, granulation is literally all Flume does.
Yeah,
yeah, that's all it is.
It just does so much of that shit.
That and Paul Stretch.
Oh,
Oh, that was harsh.
that one hurt.
We all
It
died.
was cool
I
though.
don't know. I enjoyed it. It hurts so good, dude.
It hurts so good, man.
Hurts so good.
Like in, dude.
So good. So look, let's just find a melody because you can't do it with anything.
Yeah, or melody, sure.
So we'll just pull it in and see what happens.
That sounded fucking sick though.
Yeah.
Yeah, pitch that bitch.
Oh, this is perfect for you.
Now we're poon.
Shut up, Poon.
Let's go. We love you, buddy.
I miss you, bud.
We miss you.
Come play your
It's
Les
amazing.
Paul over here, bro. Bring it. I want to jam on your Les Paul.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
Oh. Oh.
Wildly stereo. Were you panning?
Nope.
No, a couple of these breaks are fire. And they're
Right.
stereo, yeah. It's only one folder I have. Are the breaks stereo, but they're...
It's just holding down one note. You know, it's a lot of interesting timbres.
Yeah.
This is how you mimic DMT.
Do you have any full songs? It's a halftime.
Yeah, here.
Turnian.
Gotta
Maybe
go to
maybe some party
here.
B stacks in there.
Party B stacks. Pick one.
Just any, yeah.
There's thousands. Ooh, actually, grab that one that says sad jazz.
Up
Go
or
up,
down?
Up, 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 up. There you go. Sad jazz.
Sad
I forgot
jazz.
about that song. It's a good one. It's a not Mona Mona.
Oh. Oh, let's go.
So what's also really fun is, to start on this is it's a different to draw these into MIDI clips.
Mm-hmm.
That'll work.
Nice, yeah. Ooh, what was the bassy one? Or never mind, do your thing.
So we'll just make these nice and short. And then, you know, you can really kind of fuck it up in the loop section. And you can make your own kind of breaks this way pretty easy.
Right. Underground glitch jazz.
For real.
Sad jazz.
Sad jazz.
Underground glitch sad jazz.
Oh.
And it's perfectly capable of sounding like shit, as you can
Of
tell.
course.
yeah.
That's how it goes. I think we got it.
Yeah.
I think we
And then you can take
understand the
that,
idea.
put it to audio, stretch it, retexture it again, throw it back into the sampler, play with it again.
Yeah.
But it goes back to talking about some of the things we were talking about, because it's on gate and it's just choking itself. Like anytime something hits, you're
Nice.
essentially like side chaining all these things.
Autoerotic asphyxiation. Let's
Yeah,
go.
it's a real good way to like just fucking get crazy grooves.
Right.
Fucking Kinkmeister over here.
Kinkmaster 5.
That's fun.
Sick.
Oh, wait, try
Fucking
just
love
one
it.
thing. I just want to hear it. Delete all the other ones. Just do the first note and like loop that first little note thing.
Hang on.
Ooh, that's a good one. Yeah, sure.
I know exactly what happens after this too, which is funny. I haven't heard this song in
Oh,
so
yeah?
long, and I know exactly what's gonna happen.
Ooh. Ooh.
All right, G Jones.
You guys want to see one other cool thing you can do with simpler with breakbeats?
Yes.
Yeah.
T will delete these. Shift Control T.
Type just like Poon.
Just type. I type loud.
It's like so forceful. Hilarious.
I do always like
Does
it
Food do that?
when people are working with their keyboard. Like I'll be at the store at work trying to get some stuff at parts or whatever, and the guy's like, "What was it?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, okay."
Right.
And I'm just like, dude, the keyboard barely needs you to touch it. Like,
Right.
why are?
Especially at like Checker or like an auto parts store, they're always like,
Yeah.
okay, let me look up oil filter. You're like, wow,
Jesus, really getting
can-
those letters
you
in
can
there.
put two hands on there and get it faster with half the effort.
So
We're
this-
nerds.
Wow.
I couldn't find one that was time sync, so this won't work as good. But this is something cool. Shout out to Woolg.
Whoa.
So we'll just flatten this so it's
He's
one
like-
clip. Woolg is sick, dude.
dude.
Are you the voice for Excision's like live
Yes.
shows?
If I make dubstep, it would be easy. But I don't. I do not make dubstep.
Womp womp womp.
If
Womp
I
womp.
made dubstep, it would be easy. Dubstep.
That'd be so good.
Dubstep.
Yay, dubstep.
Yeah. You move it up an octave, you just sound like Kermit.
Oh, it's the Kermit voice just pitched down?
Yep.
Yep.
Yep. Yep. Now you got to go 2 octaves down. Yep. Or something. I don't know. It's all in the register of the.
Oh, I kind of get
Throat
it. That's how
box.
you get the like weird flutter thing.
Yes.
Oh,
I'm Kermit.
this breakbeat's already sounding saucy. Hey,
Stock breakbeat.
yeah, son. Breakbeat 17, dude.
Number 17.
Yeah. So close to fucking rapping, dude. Oh, I see what you're trying to do here.
With every one of these tricks, I keep thinking, like, man, if you were in Bitwig, though.
I know.
I know like 5 tricks that would make this trick so much more fun.
That's the best thing to do about it.
Right.
Oh, I see.
Oh.
So this is a cool way to kind of play with groups, and if you want to slow it down, you just go to 50%.
You're playing them both at the same time.
Right, from MIDI and from
Oh, there we
audio.
go.
Yeah, I was wondering. I was like, that should be working.
So this kind of works. Let's pitch this up a little bit. But this is a cool way to find some good swing and.
Ooh, I like that little bit right there. Little ghosty feel. You gotta hit the arrow up there. No, other one. There you go.
So, you can just play with speeds on just this playback.
You know how to use Ableton?
Still, a little bit.
Damn,
Just a little bit.
that's pretty cool.
The thing
Dude.
I don't remember how to use is FL.
Shout out Jet. He was saying he just got Ableton live hours ago. I'm proud of you, buddy. I'm so proud. Let's go.
Jet, we were just talking about this.
Man, you really passed up a great opportunity to just go straight into Bitwig.
Yeah, you could have just
but,
gone great big, but it's fine.
I mean, we'll give it to you, I guess.
We are going to shout out you, Jet, because we were just having this discussion
yeah.
the other day.
Oh, yeah.
You've been around since like episode 1 or 2.
Yeah, Jet, you were an early buddy.
Like you've been here forever. So
Early
shout out
homie.
you. This is our 1-year anniversary episode.
That's right.
yeah, 1 year.
So
And
big,
you made it.
Big sheesh.
big sheesh to you. Starting out using Ableton Live. Any advice for people?
Oh, man.
I mean, there's tutorials galore.
Control-Shift-F is your friend. It helps you search everything you have. It's
that's
fucking
huge.
sick. Control-Shift-F.
Control Alt F.
Or no, just
also
Control
good.
F. I'm sorry. Control F.
Okay. Yeah, Control F opens the browser up there at the top left that you see. There we go.
Control F. Right there.
And it allows you to automatically type in a plugin or a sample or anything.
It's so nice.
That's quite the question.
Booty.
Yeah.
I know, right? Yeah.
There's so many.
There's a
things.
bunch
The
of
banger
hotkeys.
basics.
Control Alt F is really nice. That's automatic fades, right?
Automatic fade.
It's a good one. My favorite, you guys say control. It's control or command, depending on what kind of computer you have.
100%.
Control, comma is a good one. Gets you into your preferences.
Preferences.
Learn the quick keys. We were talking about it earlier.
Learn the quick keys, yeah.
That's like the advice for...
A fun Ableton guy that we were just talking about is Slink,
Slink.
SLYNK. He's an Australian guy who lives in
Great.
Canada.
Yep.
He's a great dude. He's super whiz on Ableton.
Yeah.
Other than that, there's also Mr. Bill.
Check out
also
both of their
giant
tutorials.
on YouTube. Yeah, he's
Yeah.
Ableton
Yeah.
all day. Although he might goose you with a little bit of Bitwig because he knows what's up.
He wishes he was
He
using
wishes.
Bitwig.
He wishes. Yeah.
I heard him say it on a podcast
I mean,
recently.
I
He
heard-
was like,
Oh,
the
no
only
shit.
he was like the only reason I'm not using Bitwig is because everybody else uses Ableton.
I heard that. That was in the
Oh, damn.
AU5
maybe?
No. Easy Baked.
Easy Bake.
Oh,
yeah.
Easy Bake. I haven't seen that one
Which
yet.
both of them were like, yeah, Bitwig, and I was like, no, it's
Did
the
you see that,
boys.
Vic?
There
I
we
know you've been
go.
hyped on Easy Baked.
Easy
There
Baked
we
was on
go.
Mr. Bill's podcast.
Yeah.
Dude, I watched a lot of
Recently,
stream with them. They're doing everything in Reason, and there's some...
Yeah, they're huge Reason boys.
Dude, they're like
Reason
some of my
guys.
favorite. I've loved those cats. Like, so much of my new music has been inspired by, like, them and, like, the whole Lost Dogs crew.
Yeah. Yeah, those guys are killing it.
Yeah, they're amazing.
yeah, Nick from Noisia, he strictly uses Bitwig now.
Wow.
Which is, I mean, that's all the fucking the drum programmer from the best drum and bass group on the planet uses Bitwig. I'm gonna use Bitwig.
Dude, Woog has has pretty amazing tutorials, and that cat doesn't even use any plugins. He only uses Ableton.
Nice, sick. But yeah, there's gonna be boatloads of Ableton tutorials on YouTube. I would
There's so
check
much.
out Slink and Mr. Bill first because
Yep.
both those guys have tutorials going way back, and none of them are irrelevant to the point of which
Yeah, just go watch them
version
all.
of the DAW
Yeah.
you're in. But most of them are going to be pretty poignant to what you're looking
Yeah.
for.
And honestly, man, I know it'll be kind of a little boring and tedious to watch a bunch of like tutorials on how to use Ableton. But like honestly, just spend a day, spend like 3 hours, 4 hours, 6 hours, and just like learn about it. You know, do all the boring stuff, get comfortable with it, learn all the tools, learn where all the stuff is. Like,
Spend a month. Like
Spend a
you
month.
gotta grind on
I mean-
it for a while. You gotta learn it.
Spend
Yeah.
the rest of your life. I'm still not done watching tutorials.
oh yeah, I'm constantly
Like-
learning weird little. Oh, this button's a thing.
Don't be that guy. Fucking guys.
Oh,
Fuck
also
it.
another
Watch
real quick
guys.
tip: bring it back up to Ableton for me, please, Caleb.
I don't
Jet.
have a hotkey for that yet.
So on the bottom left, like very, very, very bottom left, there's like these weird little 3 squiggly lines, I believe. If you click those, it pulls up a help menu.
It's the arrow. It's an up arrow.
It's an up arrow. Is
It's
that what
an
it
up
is?
arrow.
It's a side arrow that goes into an up arrow.
He's blind.
Okay, yeah. So that thing, if you hover over any button in Ableton, it tells you what that button does. That was super helpful for me in the beginning.
Yeah, it's huge.
Dude, I actually still leave that on. I still find it helpful every once in a while.
Yeah,
I'm just like,
same.
what the fuck does this do?
Same, right? You're like, oh yeah, what is this again?
So Jet, I started an FL Studio for a little less than a year.
Same.
and then-
I was in FL for a year.
And then I got Ableton Live Lite, which is Ableton, but you only get 8 tracks.
You got like
And
3.
you have like limited effects and shit.
What did you get? Actually,
8.
like 8.
Yeah, it's 8. And I made like 30 songs in that.
Yeah.
I made shitloads of songs with 8 tracks.
Yep.
I mean, basically, once I realized I could put like this audio clip and this audio clip and like all the same ones in one audio clip, I was like, oh, all my effects are one chain. Mm-hmm. Like all the sweeps, all the vocals, everything is all just in one channel. It was so bad.
That's sick. I like stuff like that.
I know a lot of guys. Bunchin, who's one of my favorite drum and bass tutorials. One of my favorite drum and bass producers ever. He uses strictly FL. So
Yeah.
you know, whatever.
Excisions in FL.
But, yeah. Martin Garrix
Garrix
is
is
an
in
FL. It's an FL.
Kenny
Kenny
Beats,
Beats.
yeah.
There's
is he?
I think he actually
I
just
think
changed
he
to
uses
Ableton.
Ableton.
Yeah, he's in Ableton now. assume.
We'll just say he uses.
A lot of these guys too will
FL
kind of
Studio.
switch around. They'll kind of flip flop. They got a bunch of different DAWs because they're rich,
Yeah.
so they kind of just like work in whatever.
Yeah.
Especially when they're doing collabs, that allows them to kind of work in collabs from anyone, which is nice. But Ableton is a sweet journey, dude.
It's fucking
that's
so good.
That's good to hear.
So good.
It's great,
Hell yeah.
The automation lanes are better than FL all day. I'm
but
sorry,
not-
FL guys.
but not better than Bitwig. No, they're the exact same.
Oh yeah,
I mean, the automation lanes might be better in Ableton.
they are. Oh wait, instead of Bitwig?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Really?
but Bitwig's got modulation infinity.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. It just
The
does.
modular DAW.
It does more.
You can get it with Max for Lav.
I know, right? Yeah, there's probably a way.
Yeah, until Ableton crashes and
Yeah.
your whole project dies.
Oh shit!
Where Bitwig will crash the plugins and you just hit reload, and everything's there.
That's
So
fucking.
It's
dope.
fucking gorgeous.
I forgot you had
That's
to deal with it.
insane. Yeah.
Yeah, the crashing of Ableton. Oh my god, that's like a fucking like PTSD.
Yep.
All right. Big
Well,
ups.
Ladies and
Ableton
gentlemen.
crashing.
Yeah, we did
already
a little
know how to use-
extra for you today, guys. We went an extra 21 minutes for the 1 year anniversary. Jet, thanks for coming in. Aqua, OG of the chat.
400.
Thank you guys.
Yeah.
Big ups to the 104 people who follow us and the 11 subscribers.
Yeah, we
And
have 11 subs. That's insane. 100 followers.
and
fucked
some amount on YouTube. I can't remember.
Some
Oh,
What is that?
Big Chop Cowboy. Thanks for
Dude.
the follow.
Very nice.
Cowboy.
Very nice. Big
Let's
cheese
go.
to you, sir.
Hey, buddy, you came in just in time.
Just in time for us to
We're,
say goodbye.
we're
We're leaving. Oh, one more announcement. So last week we announced for the
I'm
very
doing
first
all
time.
the sound effects for us ending the show. And
I know
you gotta
you're
keep
you-
stopping.
It's premature, Dave. It's premature.
It. No, it's not.
It's your fault.
It's fucking 20 minutes past is what it is. I'll tell you what.
Last week, we announced we're starting a new thing on the podcast where the three of us find a sample and we flip it, and the occasional guest will flip the sample with us, and we get 2 weeks. So next week is the week where we present our finished track.
Oh, do I have
from the
something lined
sample.
up for you guys?
Are
a
you
whole blank slate?
Oh,
are you joking or are you for real?
I am joking.
Yeah,
I don't have
I do-
anything
yeah,
yet.
of course.
Because I do. I
I don't
got
have
some
shit
sauce.
yet.
Oh, I
Yeah.
got some
Well,
sauce
Let's
already,
go,
boys.
Caleb. Yeah. So next week, everyone tune in. You get to vote on who had the best track between the three of us.
It's true.
Plus Tempo.
Oh, nice.
Tempo's going to be here, right? So yeah, there's no like prizes or it's just clout on the stream. We get to flex on each other as friends. But yeah, tune in for that. That'll be fun.
He found us via the Vital manual. That's hilarious.
No, he
That
did
Zach
not.
did.
Are
Which
you
is funny because that's like a
serious?
year old. That was like
So
Are you
randomest
serious?
shit.
A year
He
ago.
found us from the Vital Man.
Love
Shout
it.
out Zach.
That's sick.
Hook
Yeah.
line.
Sick.
Yep, our buddy Hook.
Oh
Line
my
did
God, we
that.
have to tell him that. That's so great.
All right, let's get the fuck out of
Join
here.
the Discord, my man, and we can chit chat on there. We're there all week,
Yep.
hanging out, putting
Yeah.
in
Yep.
tracks to feedback and all that kind of stuff. So
Yeah.
come hang out. Big ups to everybody.
Bye everyone.
Big ups to Northeast Heights. Thanks, buddy.
Yep. Shout out Northeast.
Always a pleasure.
Yeah, baby.